Throughout history, one force has brought down more powerful men than any army ever could. Not betrayal, not war, not enemies. The enemy within. Men who held the fate of nations in their hands. Undone not by blades, but by desire. This isn't about morality. This is about strategy. Lust isn't just a personal weakness. It's a silent vulnerability. The kind that waits. The kind that rots you from the inside. Master this force, or be destroyed by it. This is the kind of truth you won't find in the surface world. You must stay sharp and stay hidden. Like, comment, subscribe. And if you're ready to go deeper, join the Whispered Order. File number 1 is already waiting. But don't act yet. Make it to the end of the video, and we'll see if you're ready to take the next step. The surface world thinks Marc Antony fell in love, a tragic romance, a powerful man brought down by his heart. But they weren't watching closely. His fall wasn't about love, it was about control. And the enemy wasn't Octavian, it was inside him. The architects know this, they always have. They don't wage war with swords, they use desire. Because lust makes you predictable, easier to guide, easier to own. That's what they've always wanted. Not your destruction, but your obedience. Give a man pleasure and he'll hand over his crown. Marc Antony did, and the surface world still doesn't see it. But you do. That's why you're here. Watch closely, because they're counting on you making the same mistake. Marc Antony wasn't weak.
He wasn't naive.
He was forged in war, blood-tested beside Caesar in Gaul. When Caesar fell, Antony didn't retreat. He rose. He became one of the 3 men who ruled the known world. A soldier's soldier. A commander that legions would follow into death. But then, he met Cleopatra. Not just a queen, an empire in human form. Brilliant, wealthy, and dangerous. Their first meeting wasn't love. It was calculation. Rome needed grain. Egypt had it. This was supposed to be strategy. But Antony didn't hold the line. He crossed it. While he played king in Alexandria, lost in silk and wine, his true enemy stayed sober. Octavian, Caesar's heir, didn't chase luxury. He chased power. And while Antony drifted, Octavian consolidated. He didn't succumb to seduction. He had something stronger. Discipline. He knew what Antony had forgotten. The war was never for gold. It was for Rome's soul. And Antony had already lost it. Instead of returning to Rome, he stayed. Instead of silence, he gave speeches. Instead of restraint, he married Cleopatra. And named their children rulers of lands that weren't his to give. Octavian didn't need to lie. Antony told the world everything they needed to know. At Actium, Antony still had numbers. He had ships. He had position. But when the tide turned, Cleopatra ran. And Antony, the same man who once stood his ground against entire armies, followed her. He left his men behind, and they left him in return. Rome fell silent, and the Republic died. Less than a year later, thinking Cleopatra dead, Antony fell on his sword. When he realized she lived, he bled out in her arms. Not as a general, not as a ruler, as a man who gave everything for a love that couldn't save him. His empire died with him. Octavian's rose in its place. And for the next 500 years, Rome belonged to the man who kept control. All it took was one crack, one weakness. And the strongest man in Rome was no longer Rome. If you're starting to see the patterns, good. Battle-tested wisdom is the field manual. No fluff. No surface world nonsense. Just the 6 codes to build your own system before the world builds one for you. Links below. Now, back to the lesson. Here's what history teaches, if you're paying attention. Marc Antony should have been remembered like Caesar, like Alexander, but he's remembered as the man who gave up Rome for a woman. That's what unchecked lust does. It doesn't just destroy your future, It erases your legacy. This isn't about avoiding love. Octavian had a marriage that lasted decades. He didn't lose himself, he built through it. Because there's a difference. Love sharpens you, it strengthens your mission. It demands discipline. Lust erases you. It consumes time, clarity, strength, until all that's left is what you gave away. While Antony obsessed, Octavian moved. He forged alliances, controlled the narrative, made himself Rome's savior, and painted Antony as a man seduced, softened, conquered. And Antony handed him the script. Every decision. Staying in Egypt. Marrying Cleopatra. Naming their children heirs. It was all ammunition for his enemies. That's how lust works. It turns your instincts against you. It makes you reactive, blind, predictable, easy to destroy. Antony had armies. He had loyalty. He had experience. But he didn't have control. And without that, he had nothing. The war inside is real, and if you don't win it, someone else will. Antony made his choice. Now it's your turn. So now you know the story. But what do you do with it? You fight back. Here's the protocol. First, you must reframe. Lust isn't desire. It's distraction. It doesn't make you alive. It makes you forget who you are. Every time you give in, you train your mind to kneel. Secondly, map the pattern. Lust doesn't strike randomly. It waits. Alone. Late. Bored. You know your ambush points. Write them down. Burn the routes. Third, replace the loop. You don't kill lust with willpower. You kill it with purpose. The next time it strikes, move. Build. Learn. Do. Turn the urge into firepower. Fourth, add friction. Make failure harder than success. Put up walls. Add cost. Remove secrecy. Make every slip come with weight. Finally, return to the code. A man without a mission is easy to tempt. A man with one, unshakable. Start your day with direction. End it with accountability. This isn't about avoiding lust. It's about building something stronger. Most men never fight this war. That's why most men fall. If you made it this far, you've already stepped outside the surface world. Most won't. That's exactly how the architects like it. Like, comment, subscribe. Then take the next step. Join the Whispered Order. File number 1 is waiting. Not to entertain you, to show you how the world really works. The architects hope you ignore it. You decide if they're right